Hello, everybody. This is Lucille from Horse for Horror, and you are about to listen to the third episode of our podcast, where we talk about Will's favorite horror movie, Monster House. Just wanted to preface this episode with content warnings, like per usual. This episode contains talks about ableism, specifically within the context of circus freak shows and the general abuse and racism and child endangerment and just all the bad shit that goes on within that. This episode also contains a very brief mention of a near sexual assault. This also contains just references to implied cannibalism and just death and heart attacks and just general weird, questionable dialogue about the movie. So if at any point you decide, maybe I don't want to sit down and listen to this episode, perfectly understandable. But if you decide to sit down and stick around, I hope you enjoyed the episode. And regardless of whether or not you're listening to it or not, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Stay safe out there, take care, and enjoy.
Welcome to Horrors for Horror, where three friends get together and discuss what we've been watching in the world of horror. I'm Will.
I'm Lucy.
And I'm Tabs.
And today is going to be, I feel like a very interesting film to talk about on this show, because we really aren't going to be talking about a lot of kids' movies.
Monster House, baby.
Monster House! I think we've mentioned this. I don't know if we mentioned this like in other episodes. I'm not into horror all that much. I'm really not.
It's almost like the concept of the podcast.
Dude, yeah, it's almost
oh
like...
my god.
Oh my god.
I thought the concept was that we were whores and we were for horror.
Well, that too.
Well, yeah.
Damn, y'all changed the concept on me? Fucked up.
I'm so sorry.
That's fucked up. That's honestly like not Pussy Slay. Honestly. So this film is very, I think I have like a sort of a personal connection to it. It was like one of the first films I ever saw in theaters. I think I was 3 when I saw it.
God damn. That's fucked up.
Yeah, you can imagine how like little Will sitting in the theater watching that, like,
dude,
I feel like I was fucking horrified. Actually, I don't know. I don't remember a lot.
Die. Look at this woman fall into cement, dude.
I actually don't know if I watched the movie all the way through or not.
I would be surprised if you did.
Because I was 3.
Yeah. I would be surprised if you did, but if you did, round of applause. If you did,
Clap, clap, clap. Slap,
and
clap.
if you didn't, round of boos. Boo, boo,
Boo! Boo! Will's lame. He's lame.
Wait your hole. Wait your hole. You didn't sit through Monster House when you were 3? God.
Fucking weirdo.
Fucking bitch.
You fucking freak.
Fucking bitch.
Well, Lucy, what's your experience with this movie?
So I almost saw this when I was 3. I went to go see, I've mentioned quite a few times, I think, on previous episodes, that I was a very much a little scaredy bitch. That I wouldn't go into, I didn't actually sit in theaters fully, until I was maybe like 7 years old. And we went to go see Cars, and I saw a poster for Monster House outside, and I started freaking out because I didn't understand that what posters were. I was like 3 also, and I was freaking out. My dad's like, "We're not gonna go see Monster House. We're gonna go see Cars. Okay, it's gonna be fine." We walk in the theater. The trailer for Monster House is showing, and I freak out, and we have to leave. I didn't see this movie in full until maybe I was like 14 or 15 years old.
My experience, so I'm the oldest out of the 3 hostess, and I was, so for reference, when this movie came out, it came out in the summer that I was turning 7, and,
fucking grandpa.
I remember, yeah,
little crusty bitch.
I'm so crusty. And I remembered the, like, ad campaigns and everything for this movie, and I remember, like, seeing the trailer a lot on TV, but I never went and saw it, until it came out, like, on, like, when they started showing it on, like, television, like, that Halloween season, and I remember being, like, kind of freaked out by it, and a little, like, freaked out, but I think most of the reason why I was freaked out was because I had, like, this uncanny valley with it, which we'll get into. Obviously, this is a Image Movers
baby
movie.
Robert Zemeckis.
Image Movers, Robert Zemeckis.
And which is funny to think about because I had like the sort of like uncanny valley feeling with this movie, but I didn't have that feeling when I watched The Polar Express. Like, I loved The Polar Express as a kid, and I think part of that is because I just like knew who Tom Hanks was, and I wasn't afraid of Tom Hanks.
I feel safe with him.
Yeah, and like
I feel safe.
This movie is definitely a lot more stylized, and I think that's what like put me off to it, is whereas like with Polar Express, like as a kid, you can kind of, like, see them as humans and shit. Mm-hmm. Whereas with this movie, it's very heavily stylized, and so you don't see them as people, but yet they move and behave as people. So it's very, like, I think that's what kind of triggered the uncanny valley for me.
Yeah.
With this movie.
Let's just jump into it, shall we?
Let's go like Ray William Johnson and jump right into it.
Let's jump right into it too, for the first time that we're ever recording this.
Yep, this is not the 4th time. I don't know.
Yeah,
what
this
you guys
is
are
definitely
about.
This is definitely not the 4th time. Not.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Lucy, put in the equals 3 record scratch sound effect.
Don't tell me what to do.
No.
You're not paying me for this. I would not bring myself down to put the equals 3 sound effect in here. What do you think? I'm some fucking show porn?
Let's get into it.
Yes, let's get into it.
I hated that noise. That was
the worst.
That was a
horror. Let's go. Okay, so we open on a little girl on her trike riding around the neighborhood, like singing along to the soundtrack, which I found like nice. Like
really, I didn't even really notice that, just because her singing.
Yeah,
was
she's
just
singing
really
the
like,
leitmotif.
I didn't know that that's like what the soundtrack sounds like. That's cool. That's kind of fun. That's a neat little detail I like.
She suddenly stops. Like it's kind of brutal, like how she like stops, like suddenly.
Yeah.
And like, she's like desperately wheeling at like the grass to like get off like move out of the lawn, and like like it's kind of stupid that she doesn't like get up and run.
She's
Yeah.
she's like 8 months old. She doesn't know any better.
Yeah. She's a baby.
The age that we start riding our bicycle, 8 months.
Yeah.
So there's this old man that comes out of the guy who like owns this lawn, and he's he's like very scary to this girl. like
He's
like
terrifying.
It's like, do you want to
Yeah,
fucking die?
he's like do you want to be alive?
like Jesus Christ, dude. She's like 3 weeks old. Calm down.
I love riding my bike at 3 weeks. One of my favorite memories.
yeah, and like he like fucking like when she like eventually gets off and runs off and gets it, he like grabs it and like starts breaking it apart and shit, and it's like, oh my god,
Like, what the fuck what is your problem, my guy?
there's this really cool shot where like you know, when Nevercracker's going back to his house, he like looks back. We suddenly get like a zoom out shot of like someone looking of a kid looking through a telescope.
Yeah, I did think it was a really good shot. I thought it was a really good shot.
This movie definitely has like some cool cinematography and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say as if I
Yeah.
know anything about cinematography and how movies are made.
We eventually find out this kid's name is DJ, and his parents are going off for for like a day, or I think it was like a day or two, maybe, to like
They're going to a dentist convention for the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. DJ is like talking to his mom about like what he saw. It's like, oh my god, mom, that I saw he took Nevercracker stole another trike, and she's just like,
You're fucking
get better
weird.
priorities, kid.
He's like, what the fuck?
Just like, my son's a
It's
fucking
like-
weirdo.
Yeah. You're like saying things to me. After that, like, DJ voices cracks, and like
His mom
DJ's
seemingly
mom's
doesn't know what puberty is.
it's like his voice sounds funny, and it's like he's a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah,
Like, what
like
the
it's
fuck?
really weird that she does not know what they are, what puberty is.
She's a woman. She wouldn't know.
Yeah, I forgot.
She's a
Yeah.
white woman in the 80s who would like
Yeah,
Nobody knows anything.
I've never gone through puberty because I'm a woman.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Women don't go through puberty.
Exactly.
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
As they're leaving, we get introduced to Chowder.
This motherfucking kid who just runs into their car as they're backing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck?
Like, it's like, oh, you would love if like DJ's dad is like saying shit like, oh, you'd love if you did that, huh? You'd love if I did that.
You'd love if he was under
It's
the
like-
car, and it's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, and then he like just refuses to say "I love you" to his son, and then she has to be like, "We both love you, honey," and it's like,
It's really awkward. It's like, especially considering after like the comments that his dad was making earlier, because like he was mentioned because they were talking about like the telescope thing, and he was just like, well, I did the same thing too. I used to spy on the Jensen twins, but they're not as beautiful as your mother. And it's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what? Men really be out here in 1982 being fucking ridiculous, don't they?
Yeah, they really do be like insane.
Yeah.
After this, DJ and Chowder are like playing basketball in the backyard, and they're talking about like Chowder's like bringing up trick or treating, and like DJ's sort of like, nah, that's baby shit.
"I'm a man now."
Baby shit.
I'm a man, and Chowder's not happy. He's not
He's like,
completely
"What the fuck?"
what the fuck, dude? What the hell?
Why would you say that to me?
Him, whimper.
And Chowder like overthrows the ball at the hoop. It bounces back, bounces on his fucking head, and off the yard, off of DJ's yard to Nebbercrackers, and it's so fucking funny. Just like
He looks like he would die from the way, like, the fucking velocity and the hardness of which that basketball hits him in the fucking, like, skull. Like,
Yeah.
he looks like he had head trauma.
yeah, it looked brutal. So they eventually find out that it did end up in Nebbercracker's lawn, and DJ's sort of like, no, there's no way we're getting that back. And Chowder is like he's like
He's distraught. Like,
he is so upset. He's like mentioning like, I had to ask my mom for like $3 and
No. He says that the basketball cost like $28, and so he had to ask his mom for $26, and he mowed 10 lawns.
Yeah,
And-
he mowed it was either 10 or 20 lawns, but he mowed like double digits worth of lawns and asked his mom for $1 26 times. Like, I'm sorry, I don't care if this is 1982. One, you're getting like 20 cents a lawn. 2, basketballs don't even cost $28 now.
For reference, a basketball like costing $28 in 1982, in 2022 money, that would be $82.32. In 2006 money, which is when this movie was made, that would be $58.50. What fucking basketball costs almost $60?
I just looked up how much does a good basketball cost. A good basketball will cost you anywhere between $29 and $69. What the fuck?
nice.
Why are you spending this much money on a ball?
What the fuck? This just shows that we don't know jack shit about sports.
We're gay. Leave us
Yeah,
alone.
We're gay, we suck dick, we don't care about sports.
we don't care. We don't care about sports ball.
We don't care about sports ball.
So eventually, Chowder convinces DJ to go on Nebbercracker's lawn and get the basketball. Long story short, I should say, DJ is caught by Nebbercracker.
And he's like holding him up, just like yelling and shouting about like if he wants to die, and he's like, no, I like living.
No. Is yeah, and like it's brutal, and then like and like after that, I'm guessing from like the intense amount of stress and literally holding up a child, Nebbercracker has a fucking heart attack.
Yeah. And just...
And like fucking falls right in this like really disturbing shot where like it's sort of like a forward shot, and it's like following Nebbercracker when he falls, sort of like I guess like a POV.
In a way, yeah.
POV, Nebbercracker falls on you.
Lol.
Lol. And Nebbercracker gets taken off with the ambulance from an ambulance, and
Which, by the way, throughout this whole movie, we're led to believe that, like, Chowder is, like, the dumb idiot friend who, like, doesn't know shit and stuff like that. But he makes this fucking weird-ass comment about how, like, oh, you'll be fine because it's manslaughter, not murder, because it was an accident. How the fuck does this 12-year-old child know the difference between fucking manslaughter and murder?
You're telling me you didn't when you were 12?
I mean, I did,
Yeah,
but I watched,
Tabs.
like, true crime shows with my mom and shit. But,
Exactly.
But we're supposed to believe that he's, like, a dum-dum. Like, we're supposed to believe he's a dummy.
I mean...
Also, I don't think true crime shit was a thing in 1982. They were too
that-
busy
yeah,
having...
you just looked out the window.
Yeah, I just looked out the fucking window.
It's 1982.
And directly after that, Elizabeth comes to DJ's house, and like,
She's praying like a
Chowder
fucking...
just fucking dashes for it.
It's so
Yeah, he just runs, and it's really fucking funny the way that he runs.
like...
It doesn't even look like a run; it looks like a jog.
Yeah, like he just lightly jogs away, and it's really funny.
It's funny.
He's funny.
Funny.
So DJ comes back home to Elizabeth. She's just sort of like she's being like a huge. She's clearly like trying to get brownie points with the parents. Like she's like
Playing Olivia Newton-John in the car.
Yeah, she pulls up playing like Olivia Newton-John and everything.
Just like the way she's dressed, the way she like interacts with DJ.
She calls him like cantaloupe
Yeah.
and stuff, which is really funny.
Yeah, and like when DJ like tells her like, "Oh, they're gone," it's like, "Oh, they're gone." She immediately like she like changes clothes and turns it basically into like this punk like alternative girl.
The exact type of girl that Machine Gun Kelly talked about in that fucking song.
I hate this. I hate this.
The exact same
Well, you're
girl.
telling me you didn't fall in love with an emo girl?
You don't like emo girls?
You don't like emo girls?
I
don't
was
like me?
one. I
You don't
was
like
one.
me? You don't like me?
Shut up.
No.
I'm gonna not like you if you keep making this joke.
I'm not like other girls. She like basically like after that she just like all the bullshit is just cut and DJ's just like, yeah, well, I'm like 13. I'm practically an adult or whatever the hell. And so I want to be up and then to respond, Z just breaks a fucking vase like, oh my god, DJ, why'd you do that?
Why would you do that? And then he's like,
why would you do that?
it's definitely like a girl boss. I'm just ignoring that bit. It's definitely just like a girl boss moment for her. Just gonna fucking ignore what you just did. I can't believe you've done this.
It's funny though.
Gatekeep, gaslight, girl boss. Fuck.
And so yeah, so she's like, DJ, like, why would you do that? And he's like, what the fuck, I didn't do that. And she's like, well, who would they believe, like, you or me? Which is like, yeah, like, if you,
Yeah.
like, if, yeah.
But
But-
you get
And basically like tells him to like fuck off and go to his room.
Yeah, which he does, and he, like, takes a little nap. And we have this cool fucking dream sequence of, like,
Yeah.
this
dream
hand
sequence.
coming out of the house from across, like, everything turns red and dark, and a hand, like, grows out of the house from across the street and, like, is shadowed on into DJ's room, and, like, goes into his room to grab him and stuff like that. But before it can, we are interrupted by the phone ringing, because DJ has a landline next to his bed.
He picks up the phone and it's just like heavy breathing.
Yeah.
Actually,
he picks up the phone and he goes, and all you hear is, DJ, you are wondering why you're here. Across the room from you is a dead man And this actually leads into a really fucked up Saw sequence, and like for some reason they thought this was like okay to put in a children's movie.
It's like yeah, it's like really weird that like wow, this Saw like sequel's really fucked up.
Yeah, it's like really like and like they make
guess-
it like animation and stuff, which they didn't do before, but like good for them, I guess.
I mean, like, I guess they got away with a lot of stuff in kids' movies for because, I mean, like, Mouse Hunt is like, just straight up a torture porn movie, and then this, like, they just bring Jigsaw in here. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like really weird, but like I'm down with it. Like I liked the movie. No, but yeah,
Of course that didn't happen.
Could you imagine though? Just like a hidden fucking Jigsaw prequel, like fucking like prequel movie. And it's just like been hiding.
So you mean Jigsaw?
No, what's that?
I don't know.
DJ does star 69 to see like who is calling, and it turns out that it is coming from the Nepercracker house.
Yeah, we start hearing the phone ringing from across the street.
Yeah, and like while he's like looking out onto Nepercracker's estate.
Estate. Sorry.
DJ gets startled by a pair of hands like grabbing onto him suddenly, and he turns around and it is Bones, this apparently Z's boyfriend.
Yeah.
That she just randomly decided to bring like while she was babysitting a kid.
Yeah.
As you
This
do.
guy's fucking sucks.
Yeah, like he's like making fun of DJ, like ripping up he was like ripping up like one of DJ's stuffed animals
Before he like makes out with it, it's like really fucking weird.
Yeah, it's gross.
And like I get like liking a dude and stuff like that, but what the fuck? Like I would like Z does like eventually like send him back downstairs, but like I would have been just like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Like what the fuck was that?
What?
Like that was a kid and his like stuffed animal. Like what the fuck? Like are you okay? Like do I need to call someone? Like
It's like it's bad. I don't like it.
yeah, definitely one of the moments of this movie that made me a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. So after Z and Bones like go back downstairs, DJ calls up Chowder and he's like, "Hey, I gotta talk to you about something." And leaves downstairs, not before overhearing a conversation between Z and Bones about like Nepercracker and like Z kind of like saying, "Hey,
well,
what
you forgot to mention he like starts DJ starts like freaking out, saying like that the phone, like he's like look, and he like shows that the phone call is coming from like across the street, and like Z's like, wow, you called the neighbors, and he's like, well, he died today, like I saw him like die today and stuff like that, and she's like, cool, whatever, like she's very like nonchalant about it and not freaked out at all. And so when DJ goes downstairs to go meet up with Chowder, Z's like, what's like the whole deal about Nevercracker anyway? Like I don't get it. Like why do people like freak out about him and stuff like that?
And that leads Bones to talk about his kite that Nepercracker stole when he was a kid.
Yeah, he's like,
Awesome
and, like,
kite.
yeah, it was an awesome red
kite.
kite. Yeah.
And after that, he then proceeds to try to get with Z.
Yeah, another moment that is
like
extremely uncomfortable, and luckily, like, nothing
happens.
happens, But yeah, he kind of like, at first he like is like leaning in to kiss her, and then he like looks away and stuff like that, which is like, okay, yeah, that like happens and stuff, like that's a thing that like guys will do and shit. And then he's like talking about how like, oh, Nebuchadnezzar like killed his wife like after fattening her up, and then he ate her and stuff like that. And then like as he's saying like he ate her and shit, he like leans in to like kiss and like make out with Z, which Z is like not really receptive to, and for like a good few minutes is like fighting back against Bones, which was definitely like very uncomfortable watching that happen.
Yeah.
And eventually like he kicks, or she kicks him out of the house and stuff like that, which I'm glad that they didn't like portray her in a sense of like, oh, she's like a prude or something like that, because that was something that happened a lot in the early 2000s, like whenever a girl would not be receptive to that sort of stuff, and so that's great and all, but it still was just like a very like uncomfortable moment.
Yeah.
And frankly unneeded. Like he could have like done, like there could have been a million different ways to write like the sequence of her like kicking Bones out without it like insinuating assault and shit like that.
It is a Dan Harmon script though, so
yes, we didn't talk about that, but yes, this movie is like co-written, like screenplay and stuff like that is co-written by Dan Harmon, who is famously worked on Community, and more famously has worked on Rick and Morty, alongside Justin Roiland. But so this was like kind of an early thing that he did, and there definitely is a lot of like scenarios that happen in this movie that are very like
not aged well.
Yeah, they do not age well, and frankly aren't, I would even say were probably not great in 2006 either. But yeah, it definitely like watching it now in 2022 and now as an adult and stuff like that, the jokes and stuff that they kind of make are not really like funny. They're very not great, especially not great in a children's
Yeah.
I know this is like meant for older kids and stuff like that. It's not meant for younger, you know, this is definitely more of a tween to teenage movie, but that still is very inappropriate to have, in my opinion. Jokes about assault, and then they also like make a couple
ableist remarks.
Yeah, ableist jokes and stuff like that. And then there's also like some well, I do like some of the, I guess, fat representation in this movie. There is a lot of like fat phobic sort of jokes and body image jokes and the such. So this movie definitely has its like really good moments of like, you know, stuff that you wouldn't expect from a movie from 2006, but then it definitely has movies that like moments that like definitely you would expect this from a movie from 2006.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
You might be happy to know that Bones does get what he deserves, and
It's yoinked into the house.
Yeah. Get into the fucking house. Get in here.
We see the red kite that he was talking about previously, like, kind of peers out of the door and stuff, and he's like, whoa, because he's, like, on Nebuchadnezzar's lawn, like, talking shit about Nebuchadnezzar. And eventually... Oh, something we forgot to mention was when Nebuchadnezzar was taken away from in the ambulance, the house... very much did not want him to leave, to the point where, like, it even, like, broke a wheel off the gurney.
Yeah.
Because it was trying to, like, tug it away from those, from the EMTs, and then as soon as he's like put away in the ambulance and taken away, the chimney of the house like roars to life and stuff like that, and obviously nobody is inside, and so like this whole time you kind of get the feeling that there is definitely something spooky going on.
Spooky.
So after Bones gets yoinked, we do cut to DJ going to the danger zone, which is like this construction site.
I believe from like what I've read, it's supposed to be like a housing development for apartments, which is kind of an interesting thing. Like this was definitely in a point of time when the urbanization of suburban areas and stuff was very relevant, both in the 1980s and the early 2000s. Like a lot of people's fears was the fact that their like homes would be demolished, or land around their homes would be bought up and turned into apartments and things like that. So I thought that was like a kind of a cool little... They don't mention that at all, and that's kind of like just what I've gotten from knowing history and shit. Mm-hmm. So it totally could be that they're just like, yeah, totally, that's what we meant. Yeah, and that's not at all what they meant, but I did think it was kind of interesting that they included that, because there is some, like, you see, like, Nebuchadnezzar is like a veteran from presumably one of the world wars, which after which land plot of lands were given to veterans, and like later on in the movie when we see him building the house, we see that like it was a very deserted area, and then in the present day in the movie it is like complete suburbia, with now a seemingly like urban development happening. So I think it's very interesting to kind of look at that and kind of like view this movie as a like metaphor maybe for the urbanization and such of more suburban areas.
Yeah. That's definitely a really interesting lens to view this movie in.
It definitely is. Like there's definitely a lot of parts of this movie that I think can be very like interesting to look at through the lens of, like I said, like the fact of urbanization of more suburban places and stuff like that was definitely like a big concern for a lot of families in the 80s, and even in the early 2000s and stuff, because we were coming off of like a housing crisis, or in 2006 we were just like starting to be into a housing crisis. But it also could definitely be that just that was just like a coincidence, or it could be something that was like deliberately sort of hinted at in the movie. I don't know, but I just do know from like a historical standpoint that was something that was like a concern to many people at the time, and a lot of veterans who got their plot of lands from being in the wars and such.
Yeah. I would have never thought of to see that movie as that way. That's so cool.
Yeah, from the time that we've like talked about this movie, and like the more that I think about it, this movie does a lot of stuff with it that like is interesting, but like I'm probably certain it's not in the ways that the filmmakers intended to be.
Yeah,
like there's surprisingly a lot to say about a lot of other things, which is very interesting.
We'll get more into like the backstory of the house and like who exactly like Nebuchadnezzar is and stuff like that, and I'll probably bring it up then too. But like, yeah, there is some like things to be said about like freak culture and things like that is also very deep in things, but I'm pretty sure is not meant for the analysis of the movie, but it is still interesting to bring up. And part of like movies and like stuff like that is looking at sort of the unintended metaphors and meanings in them. We get introduced to, after Bones is kidnapped by the house, we get in, DJ and Chowder try to investigate, but the house comes alive and attacks them and stuff like that. And the next morning we're introduced to Jenny, who is trying to sell Halloween candy. And eventually she tries to go to Nevercracker's house to sell there as well. And the boys who have been like staying up all night, like watching the house, notice that and like chase after her. And she calls the police, and we are introduced to fucking cops.
Cop time.
Yeah.
According to the synopsis, they are Officer Landers and Officer Lister,
who are voiced by Kevin James and Nick Cannon, of all people. It's very funny that this movie is essentially like a star-studded cast. Like, we have Steve Buscemi as Nevercracker. We have Maggie Gyllenhaal as, I believe, Z. We have
Jason Lee as
Bones. We have Jason Lee as Bones. We have Mitchell
Musso
who is
as
like
DJ.
Definitely a huge like star of the time. The only two people who I do not recognize currently are Sam Lerner, who is Chowder, and Spencer Locke as Jenny. But other than that, like, we have like Catherine O'Hara is DJ's mom. Fred Willard, who is like, he was a sort of classic like comedian.
He's a big character actor.
Yeah, he's a huge character actor from the 1960s and stuff like that. He's DJ's dad and everything, and so we have like a very like star-studded fucking like cast, and then which is very strange, but I think that leans to the fact that this is a Steven Spielberg movie. This is an Amblin film.
Produced specifically.
Yeah, produced. So I think definitely, like, that's how all of these, like, sort of, like, big name, especially in the early 2000s, actors and actresses, were...
Yeah.
How they're a part of this movie.
So after they do, after Jenny, calls the cops over, they're like, yeah... they're completely dismissive. They're like, these kids are just like they're bullshitting, and like they only like to show their point. Like Chowder and DJ, DJ is like jumping up and down on the lawn, and Chowder is just about to throw a fucking rock.
Yeah. And
it's like
at the house,
and the Kevin James officer like stops both of them, and it's like, you know, I'll excuse the throwing the rock thing because the dance was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, and the kids keep like saying like, there's something up at the house. There's like a giant thing in the house. And
well, what?
Yeah, and it's starting to show that the house does not react when there are adults involved. Like, as soon as, like, sort of adults, like, show up, the house kind of, like, stops being active. Which then the characters are all like, fuck, what are we gonna do? The boys start fighting over Jenny, because this is a movie. About teenage boys.
Wow.
Boys will be boys.
And like they start like saying like weird shit. Like Chowder's like Jenny says like which school she went to, And Chowder's like, yeah, I got in there, but I decided not to go. And she's like, it's an all-girls school. And he's like, well, yeah, that's why I decided not to go. Which was a funny kind of, that was like a funny line. I did chuckle at that.
Chowder trans femme.
Yeah, Chowder trans femme. Let's go. But, so we get the planning scene and shit like that. And
not before we go to the best fucking character in the movie.
well, that's what I was leading up to. We get the planning scene, and they're like, "Oh, I know who we've got to talk to," and we get introduced to take it away,
Reginald
Skull. Let's
Skolitsky,
fucking go.
Played by John Heder, dude. Napoleon Dynamite.
John.
Which fun fact, my mom, John Heder, is from the place that I live, and his dad is a doctor and is actually one of my mom's doctors. So I've met Napoleon Dynamite's dad.
Hell yeah.
That's so cool. And they eventually like ask him like, what the fuck do we do?
We also get a cool like shot of this video game that he's playing. And it was like really kind of cool. It's like definitely like Castlevania inspired.
Yeah, or like Ghosts and Goblins.
Yeah, and it's actually like really cool and shit like that. I really like when movies have like video game references and they're actually like things that look like they could be actual video games, not just like a fucking things
generic shooter.
Yeah. I also like when they like fit in with the theme as well. Versus like this zombie movie's going to have a fucking like dating sim. I don't know. I would actually love it if a zombie movie had a dating sim
imagine watching like Dawn of the Dead and someone's playing Honey Pop.
That's me through the fucking like zombie apocalypse. I'm gonna die because I'm just like fucking sitting there playing a dating sim while like the zombie like zombies are breaking down my door. I'm like, God, shut up, I'm trying to get this route. Like, oh my god.
He claims that that it's a supernatural being, the house, when like a house is being like connected to a spirit. He calls it the Domus Mactibilis, which is deadly home in Latin.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that the only way to kill it off basically is to go for the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And and like after he says that, after he gives that sage advice, we have like this. I have to mention this fucking scene.
I mean, it's the scene that everybody knows.
It's the scene everyone knows, where like he's running off, like he like turns around and like takes a piece of like I think like a chocolate bar. From
yeah, it's one of the candies that Jenny was selling.
Yeah. And just fucking scarfs it down like an animal and just runs away.
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's really fucking funny.
It makes me cackle every single time.
We also want to mention, we all watch a streamer called Robbie Dude here, and Skull looks exactly like fucking Robbie Dude.
He does.
To the point, like, when we were watching the movie, we're just like, holy shit, that is just Robbie Dude.
That is Robert Duder.
Robert Duder from twitch.tv/Robbie Dude.
Can the preview for this episode be like just like a picture of Robbie? Yeah, I really want that.
Exactly, it's just fucking Robbie.
I don't know if we've really talked about this, but at this point in the movie, everyone specifically DJ, has assumed that the house is taken over by Nebercracker.
Yes, because it's assumed that Nebercracker at this point is dead.
Yeah, Nebercracker is like assumed dead.
Earlier in the movie, when he was being taken away by the ambulance, we get some fucking, for some reason, like, totally out of character, like, way more, like, smart than we are led to believe, like, lines from Chowder saying, like, the light's off, that means he's dead.
No sirens, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm sorry, like, at that point in the movie, we're led to believe that, like, Chowder is, like, the dumb, funny, like, he's not smart and stuff like that kid. But, like, he has these, like, fucking sage advice moments. It's really weird how they play Chowder, how they write Chowder and shit sometimes.
Yeah, it's wild. So then all the kids sort of, like, come to the conclusion that, where the heart is like where the chimney is, because smoke has been coming out of it ever since Nippercracker has passed, or quote unquote passed. So to like sedate it, they plan on having, like, basically a Trojan horse with cold medicine to, like, knock it out.
Yeah.
So that they can go in with it asleep and
Snuff out the fire.
try to, like, snuff it out. So
Fuck it up.
To fuck it up.
So, like, Chowder's gets cold medicine from his dad's pharmacy, which was mentioned, like, during the time DJ was calling him, like, he was mentioning that his dad was working at the pharmacy.
And he, like, does not want to steal from his dad, which is really funny. He's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to steal. And they're like, Chowder, we're gonna fucking die unless you steal cold medicine from your dad. And he's like, okay. And then he, like, runs in. And then, like, as he's, like, like, the entire time he's screaming. And as he's, like, stealing the things, he triggers, like, a Halloween decoration. And it goes off. And he, like, gets fucking terrifying, just, like, runs out. And it's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Eventually, they do get the Trojan horse kid dummy up and running.
Yeah.
And they almost get to it. They're almost successful, but then I guess like the cops were, like, doing like a watch around.
A patrolling, yeah.
And they run over the cable, stopping the dummy in its place, and they catch the kids red-handed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're, like, trying to explain that, like everything, and they're, like, trying to say, and the cops aren't listening because they're cops. And eventually, like, I forget what, but something, like, leads the cops to, like, go investigate the house.
They both get fucked up by the house.
And the house just, like, swallows them whole and shit, which, like, fuck
Get
yeah.
in the hole. Get in the
hole.
fucking hole.
Which, fuck yeah, this house is fucking cool.
Fuck cops.
A-cab, let's go.
A-cab, fuck yeah.
The one good thing this house has done.
And also at one point, I can't remember if it was now or if it was or if it's later. At one point, a dog gets, like, fucking eaten by the house, which is confusing because, like, for most of the movie, it's been alleged that, like, the fucking house just, like, hates kids and stuff like that and affects kids. What the fuck does a puppy have to do with it?
Well, it peed. It was about to pee on the lawn.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, never mind. I guess that's valid.
Yeah. What you want? Yeah, like what? You want a dog to piss on you? I'm
Ew.
cutting that out.
You're cutting
I'm cutting
that
that
out.
out.
How dare you
I'm
say
cutting
that
that
to me?
out.
Yeah, cut it out. Cut it
I'm
out.
cutting
Cut it out. So, like, the kids think that they're safe in the car. It's like, yeah, well, at least the house can't, like, hurt us in the car.
The house hurts
Wrong.
in the car.
Well, the house fucks up the cop car because we're like, damn, job's not done yet.
Damn, gotta get these fucking kids.
Yeah. And the house, like, bites into the car, leaving like a hole in the back. So the kids luckily can, like, just jump out, and, like, right before they can run through the door, it slams, and they're not coming out.
Yeah. But because it ate the police vehicle and the cops had like taken the medicine, the house eventually like falls asleep, which is what their plan was anyway. And so they're down in the basement and they find this like shrine of like they find a bunch of like old like sepia toned photos of Nebuchadnezzar in his like war squadron, which we find out was the like the explosive like squadron. And so we see like some backstory about Nebuchadnezzar. We see that like he's a war veteran. He was involved with like explosives and stuff like that, which by the way means that Nebuchadnezzar has confirmed kill people. Like he has confirmed kills.
Goddamn.
Also see photos of him and his wife, and the boys explain a little bit about the whole like lore around Nebuchadnezzar, like fattening up his wife and killing her and eating her and stuff like that. And then we also see like there's a bunch of like all the shit that has been stolen is down in the basement, like all the kids' toys and everything. And eventually we see that there is a shrine of like dedicated to Nebuchadnezzar's wife.
It is like around where the heart is. There is a heart-shaped locket keeping the shrine locked away. And what is shown is that it is a woman encased in cement. And a bunch of like chocolates, flowers, memorabilia around her, around the body.
It's like, if a guy were to kill his wife, why would he do that?
He's like, yeah, like, yeah. Eventually, like, I think, like, DJ trips and, like, accidentally breaks, like, the cement mold, keeping,
he, like, cracks it and stuff.
Yeah, and it shows, like, a skeleton, and that, like, that is not how,
it shows, like, here's the thing. Fat people have normal skeletons that are in the, like, still, like, typical shape of, like, not fat people, but for some reason, the movie's, like, writers and, like, animators, I guess, thought that wasn't how skeletons work, and so they made it look like her skeleton was, like, huge and, like, way more like separated than it would be normally, and it's kind of just like, come on, man. Like, you could very easily look at a skeleton of a fat person and see that like it's pretty much the same, like,
yeah, it's just like it's just encased in fat,
yeah,
and meat,
yeah, and so they wake up the house, and it starts like attacking them, and they have like little like shoot like Nerf guns or whatever the fuck, like water guns, and they start like shooting it and stuff like that, and they're like, what the fuck, like, what do we shoot at, oh my god. And Jenny like is like, well, if that's the mouth and that's the like the tongue, oh, that must be the uvula, which is like a chandelier. And so she's like, shoot that, and they do, and it eventually like causes the house to throw them up through what looks like Baja Blast.
Well, you missed the very fun. You missed the
no,
very
it's not,
iconic.
it's not until like she says,
it's like that. If she's like they think the uvula is the heart, and they're like, wait, that's not the heart, that's the uvula. Then Chowder just goes, so it's a girl house.
which Jenny's like, everybody has a fucking uvula, Chowder, and he's like, I don't have one.
Like, I don't have one. Chowder trans femme.
based Monster House.
And so as they're vomited out, a ambulance shows up, which, like, by the way, is never, like, it's revealed, like, Nevercracker walks out of the ambulance and he's alive and stuff, and, like, nobody else comes out of the ambulance.
Did he steal this
Did
bitch?
he steal this ambulance? Like, where did he get this ambulance? I wouldn't put it past him. Like, that sounds, like, in character for him. And also, this is when the movie actually gets, like, really good, is when Nevercracker comes back, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, the movie up to this point, like, it had funny moments, and it definitely, like, is an alright movie, but it still, like, was, like, very slow at some points, and it just, like, I wasn't as interested until Nevercracker, like, finally gets back.
I 100% agree.
Yeah. Then we get a shitload of backstory.
We get the lore.
We get
Will
the
you want to tell us the
fucking
backstory?
lore. Yeah, tell us the backstory.
Okay, so Nevercracker met this woman named Constance at, like, I think it's like a carnival or like a circus.
Freak show, yeah.
Circus, like a circus freak show, and she was like the world's largest woman, and she was just miserable, and Nevercracker was like, hey, he just basically just like
Beat down bad.
asked her, hey. Yeah. We love a
Short
like
king.
a man who loves chubby women.
Yeah,
Short-
and it's
short
actually
king.
like throughout this moment, like they kept like they play it like it's very much revealed that Constance is like not like willingly in the carnival, because like it's shown that like people like throw stuff at her, and you know she is made fun of and stuff like that. Meanwhile, like Nevercracker is like looking on like very lovingly and stuff like that. And I wanted to take a moment here to point out that like during that point in time in real life was when freak shows were like legitimately a thing, and freak shows very much targeted a lot of like oppressed people, and people who were, most of the time they were disabled either like mentally or physically, and or they would also target people of color a lot, like extremely a lot, and
Yeah.
so her kind of being upset and not wanting to be there is very in line with how a lot of like freak show like performers felt, because but they were also combated with like this is the only, like a lot of the times they would be recruited at a very young age, like Tom Thumb, who is best known, he was a part of P.T. Barnum's show. His name was General Tom Thumb, and he was portrayed as this sort of like he was a person with dwarfism, and he was portrayed, you know, as this like military general and things like that, and he was portrayed as someone who was, you know, like had been through war and was like very much an adult and stuff like that. But then it came out that he was actually only 4 years old when he was recruited by P.T. Barnum, and that's when he started doing shows, and P.T. Barnum had him like drinking and smoking and doing stunts and stuff like that, and it was a huge success, but it was still, you know, like a fucking 4-year-old and everything. And actually he didn't die until he was like 45, like he died very young and things like that. But he like, so you have like real life occurrences of like Constance's story of like these people who were sort of forced into this lifestyle, and it was a very like nomadic lifestyle as well, because you know you would be moving from city to city, and there's a lot of interesting stories to read about people who were quote unquote freaks or whatever, those performers and stuff. And then it's also very interesting too to read what happened to them after their deaths and stuff as well, which I definitely recommend people research on their own time, because while it is very sad what happened to a lot of them, it is also very interesting to see like that sort of side of American history that is very ingrained in American history. Like, most people's grandparents went to those shows and stuff like that. And I mean, we still have circuses and stuff to this day. But yeah. And so I just wanted to take a time and mention that, like, Constance, like, feeling of, like, wanting to escape. And, like, she was kept in a cage as well. It is shown that she's, like, kept in a, like, movable
That she
cage.
was treated subhuman.
Yeah, and that's very much, like, the truth of it all, was, like, you would have these performers or people who were employed by these circuses or shows or whatever, and they would be the ones making all of the money, but they would also be living in horrible conditions. You know, they wouldn't get the health care that they needed. They wouldn't get anything that they needed and stuff like that. They would not eat properly. Some would go a long time without eating. And it was all, like, they would be getting, like, pennies, you know, for their performances. Meanwhile, the people running the show or running it all would be getting, like, you know, hundreds of dollars and getting very rich off of this sort of stuff, especially later on after the success of P.T. Barnum and everything. But I liked how they kind of showed a little bit of that tidbit of, like, history in this movie. And I also think it was very cute and sweet of how they kind of portrayed Nevercracker's love for...
Yeah, it's very clear that they both love each other.
Yeah.
Like, oh, go on.
And there's not really any jokes, like, made about the fact, like, Nevercracker likes, you know, a fat woman and stuff like that. Like, there's not really a lot of, like, most of the jokes that are made about Constance are at her expense, and to the point where she fucking dies. Like, but so yeah, Nevercracker asks Constance if she wants to, like, he's like, you know, I can take you away from this. And she's like, yes, please do. And he does. And they, like I said earlier, move to a plot of land that most likely was given to Nevercracker for his service in the war. And it's this very rural, like, deserted place.
Yeah. It's also this very, like, neat shot of, like, when they get to the plot of land, that, like, it, like, shows, like, a bit of time passing as, like, the house, like, slowly gets built.
Yeah.
Partially.
Yeah.
And then this is when we find out what happens to Constance. So Will.
Constance is, like, really upset because these children are messing around with the house. They're, like, throwing things at it, and
they're calling her names.
Just being general. Yeah. And Nevercracker's like, well, they're kids.
It's Halloween.
And it's like, calm down. And it's like, no, they are hurting my house.
Yeah, they're hurting me.
And, like,
is what she says.
They're hurting. So she as a response to that, she picks up a fucking axe.
Yeah, she goes
and,
to,
like,
fucking...
starts.
Not before, though. Nevercracker says something really sweet. He says, like, I will never let anything bad happen to you. Like, I'm here, I'm going to protect you and stuff like that. And it's really nice and cute. And then a boy throws an egg at her, and she fucking goes ballistic and picks up a fucking axe.
And what ends up happening is that, like, through like her frenzy, she, like, accidentally turns on like the cement mixer.
Yeah, she, like, twists her ankle.
like twists her ankle, trips into like a hole, and then gets drowned by cement.
Yeah.
Which, for a kid's film, that's fucking
It's
terrifying.
a very dark death, like, and, like, it is very much, like, very dark, and I feel a lot of, like, guilt for Nebercracker, because, like, I believe, too, it was, like, a piece of, like, construction equipment that she, like, twists on, or something, and so, like, technically, in a way, he did kill his wife, but not in the way that people think.
Oh my god, that's really interesting that you say that, because where people are like kind of right but not exactly.
Yeah, and that happens in real life too. You will have like something like a murder happen and stuff in a community, and it'll be like years and years and years, and rumors will start, happening as humans do, because we're such a great fucking thing. And so you'll start having like a lot of rumors happens where the story kind of gets twisted in a way, and I can very much see like it coming out that she slipped on like construction material, or like she turned on the cement thing, and that sort of being twisted into Nebercracker, like, maybe was like at fault in some way. And so I can very much see that being the case. And so yeah, it's revealed that like Nebercracker actually didn't really kill his wife, like he wasn't really at fault.
And that he completed the house because that's what Constance would have wanted. That she loved the house, that she would have loved to see it in completion.
Yeah. But then it's like slowly like shown that Constance's vengeful spirit has in fact possessed the house, and he turns into this old like crotchety grumpy man because he is trying to protect people from the house, especially kids, and he finds it particularly hard to do around the Halloween season, because obviously that's around the time that she died, and very much too, he like wants to try to protect the neighborhood kids and stuff, at the expense of his own like standing within the community and everything, which I think is very like, they don't really like delve into that, but like this man had to essentially like, he lost his wife, and then had to sort of like lose himself as well in order to protect like kids who were really the one,
We're just being kids.
Yeah. And it very like easily he could have become like this grumpy old man and stuff like that, and pretty much like had a right to, like, kids were the ones at fault, and stuff like that. But instead of like letting that sort of happen, he sacrifices himself in a way to try to save the kids, which I think is definitely something I wish they kind of touched on a bit more. They do a little bit. DJ kind of says like, I know you've been trying to protect us and stuff like that, but it's very much like kind of brushed over really quick.
Yeah. Basically DJ, and then like after Nebercracker tells that to DJ, or just DJ's sort of like, you have to let her go.
Well, we see like somehow there's been a fucking case of dynamite just chilling in the front yard. It's not really explained how that got there.
No, you know.
Yeah. And Nebercracker starts like speaking to the house, and he's like, we both know it's time, oh girl, like, I never want to hurt you and stuff like that. And he starts like leaning down towards the explosives the dynamite, I believe is what it actually is. And as he's doing that,
Constance gets like fucking pissed, and like she somehow launches herself off of the establishment and
the foundation
starts absolutely chasing both Nebuchadnezzar and the kids.
Yeah, and it's never like talked about the neighborhood in this movie, but can you imagine just like fucking making dinner and seeing that happen?
Yeah.
And you're like, I gotta move. Like, would you stay in that fucking like neighborhood? Because I wouldn't. I would be like, cool. I'm gonna call my realtor real quick. Like, fuck this.
It's like, yeah, I'm gonna dip.
Yeah, like,
actually,
I gotta go. Like, and like, I know, like, the suspension of disbelief and stuff like that, like, whatever, you're not supposed to think about those things, but I always, like, am curious, like, whenever I do watch this movie, like, what the fuck are the neighbors doing at this point? Like, is everybody at the fucking dentist? Like, is everybody in this neighborhood a fucking dentist and they're all at the same convention? Like, is this a dentist neighborhood, actually?
Yes.
Yes, this is a dentist community neighborhood.
Shaking my head. So, like, while they're running, while they're absolutely fucking, like, running, like, Nebuchadnezzar, like, I think, like, at some way he's, like, winded, because, you know, he just had a heart attack.
He had a heart attack stroke thing. Like, it's never really confirmed what he has. Also, real quick, the fucking monster design for the house, once it's off its, like, fucking, foundation and shit, is really fucking cool. Yeah. And it's something...
I think it would have been even cooler if they really stick with the idea that originally they were going to have with, like, how the house was originally going to have internal organs.
Yeah.
Like, the wallpapers were going to be, like, veiny and, like, the eyeballs and the windows were going to be eyeballs.
Yeah, and it's really like
that would have
been cool if they ever make like a, which I hope they don't, because please Hollywood, make something original. But if they ever make like a live action version of this movie or like reboot it or whatever, it would be cool to see that. But like Hollywood, don't, please. Oh my God, make something original.
Please don't.
Please, I want something original, please.
Please.
Leave this movie alone.
Let this movie die. And
Nebuchadnezzar while he's being left behind, he's trying to convince Constance, like, hey,
they're just kids.
They're just kids. Please leave them alone.
It's kind of insinuating too that he's kind of insinuating too that he'll sacrifice himself as well. With the house, which is very like, whoa. And I wish they kind of touched upon a little bit more, but understanding that this is like a kid's movie and that is a very dark subject.
And like, Nebuchadnezzar is like confronting Constance and saying like, they're just kids, please leave them alone. Like, we all know this time was coming.
Yeah, he says, like, it's time to, like, end it and everything. Like, we knew this was going to come and stuff like that. And they eventually, like, get to the construction, like, the housing development area. And there's an excavator that will...
Yeah, which Chowder was like messing around with earlier in the film. Comes back and Chowder is like messing around with it. Driving it around and trying to like distract the house. And try to distract the house while like DJ tries to do something. Nebuchadnezzar's like, hey, here, have the stick of dynamite.
Here you go, kid.
Like, you need to throw it in the chimney.
Yeah. And DJ like climbs up a nearby crane.
With the help of Jenny, DJ eventually climbs up the tower and tries to throw the stick of dynamite in the chimney. It does have a lot of complications, like DJ. I think DJ is like swung around like a steel beam, I think.
Yeah, like DJ should have fucking died. Just from the fucking whiplash alone.
Yeah. And eventually DJ does manage to throw the stick of dynamite into the chimney and seemingly defeats the house.
Yeah.
Not the case. The house reconstructs in like possibly like a super cool design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just like kind of like it just kind of like molds itself into like this just like fucked up like it's just this fucked up like wooden just like structure of just hell, and it's cool.
Yeah, it really is.
Chowder tries to like force Constance into like a hole, into like a pit,
mm-hmm.
to like destroy it, to try to destroy it once and for all. They basically like fucking exploded her one more time, completely destroying her.
Explode!
She exploded. Oh no.
Oh no, she's gone. Oh no.
Oh,
our house. Lucy.
I'm funny.
And we get, after this, we see this really beautiful scene of like Nebuchadnezzar dancing with Constance's ghost, and it's like so beautiful.
It's a nice little final moment to their story.
And like Nebuchadnezzar is crying, like, but then like, and like DJ is like, hey, sorry bestie,
Sorry about your wife.
Sorry about your wife.
My wife. Yeah, and then actually, Nebuchadnezzar turns into Borat, and that's like, this is actually the sequel to Borat. It's weird.
Yeah. It's like, I wonder like what they were thinking when they were making this.
Funny you should say this. When did this movie come out? 2005?
2006.
Yeah, 2006.
Hold on. Shit, that was the same year Borat came out.
Confirmed.
Oh my god.
No.
Well, when? Hold on. When did? Hold on. I'm gonna do research. You keep talking.
This came out in July of 2006. This movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And,
Borat came out in November 2006
oh my God.
in America.
Fucking conspiracy theory. Get on it.
It premiered in August.
Conspiracy theory.
Borat ripped off of Monster House.
But yeah,
game theory.
Film theory. But yeah, Nebuchadnezzar like fucking like breaks down and is just like, oh my god, thank you. Like I was like, he was like saying like, thank you for freeing me after like 20 or 45 years, 25.
Like, we are free.
Yeah.
We are finally free.
And this like 45-year-old like thing, and
eventually, Nebuchadnezzar decides to like give back everything he had ever stolen from his lawn back to the community.
Yeah, like that fucking like a 3-day-old girl comes up and gets her trike back.
Yeah, she gets her bike back.
I was planning that the entire time.
We've been bamboozled.
Yes.
But yeah, so eventually, yeah, like the kids all get their stuff back. And eventually DJ and Chowder finally get to go trick-or-treating, which like at this point feels like, because like he gives like literally like almost everything back. Like at this point it has to be like fucking midnight. Like go to bed.
And I really like this really cute moment where like Nevercracker's like, "You stay off my lawn."
Yeah, that's really cute.
I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
Like,
I'm just fucking with you.
and then the movie ends and nothing else happens. Bye. No.
And unfortunately,
The cops are dead and they stay dead.
The cops said Bones is dead. He stays
The
dead.
dog comes back.
Yeah.
though.
The dog lives, though.
they're
The
all
dog
dead.
lives,
The
They're
dog
all
does
gone.
come back. No. When
Yeah.
Bones...
Everyone who is... Oh, go
Oh, I
on.
was just gonna say, when Bones does come out, because like during the credits it's revealed that like all of the people who were eaten by the house like are alive and they come back out. It's shown that like Z is now dating Skull and Bones is just like, what the fuck?
Honestly,
Good for fucking her.
good for her.
Good for
her. She looks happy and healthy.
with Skull, not Bones. And then the officers are just like, we're gonna go investigate some like trick-or-treat candy because we're cops and we're useless. And the dog like also comes out and he pees on a jack-o'-lantern to extinguish its...
He fucking
Pisses
pisses.
all over the screen. It
Dude.
gets everywhere. It smells horrible. Like, why was this the ending of the movie? I don't get it.
Dan Harmon's a
Dan
freak.
Harmon's a fucking freak. And immediately, like, next week we get, like, emails from Dan Harmon's lawyers.
Phil-
We're being sued.
Butch Hartman. Butch Hartman actually wrote this movie.
And yeah, that's the movie.
That's the movie.
That's
Oh
the
my
movie.
god, we finally fucking did it.
We did it.
Yeah,
We did it. How long? We did it. We're gonna cut out. I'm gonna cut out so
We said
much.
so many funny jokes that are probably not going to be the final cut.
Let's
Yep.
go.
This podcast is already longer than the movie by 4 minutes.
Listen, we did have a little break,
Yes.
We did have a break, but yeah,
I genuinely
Thank-
enjoyed this movie. I definitely I enjoyed it, but there are definitely the parts of the movie that I'm just like, ooh.
yeah,
2006.
I
Especially
100%
like the
agree.
very definitely the parts that are like, oh, this is a movie from 2006.
Yeah. But I still think it's
God.
still a pretty good movie. I liked the story. I think I definitely will stick by the fact that I think the movie starts being really enjoyable when Nevercracker comes back, which is unfortunate in the fact that you have 10 minutes left of the fucking movie at that point.
It's the last. It's the third
Yeah,
act of the movie.
and so unfortunately you don't get a lot of Nevercracker. And I think this movie definitely would have been a lot better if maybe he had helped with the sort of planning and stuff. I think if they were to ever reboot this movie or remake it, it would be interesting to see him help and things, and kind of see that whole dynamic of everything, him trying to convince the kids that no, he's really trying to this is what happened, he didn't kill his wife, and everything. I think that would be definitely a lot more interesting versus him being gone for a third of the movie and then somehow coming back, and then also somehow he has fucking dynamite on his front lawn.
He's okay.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel the same way. Pretty much. I think this movie has a lot of fun moments. It can be pretty funny. Has a lot of things that don't hold up too good, but hey, for a horror film that you could show kids, you could do a whole lot worse than Monster House. Let me
Yeah,
tell you
honestly,
that.
this is probably up there with a lot of I can't think of a lot of fun horror movies to show kids other than this and maybe Nightmare Before Christmas and other sort of movies.
Paranorman.
Laika
Paranorman,
has definitely
yeah.
has a lot of movies that are good to show kids. Maybe we'll cover them one day because I really enjoy those movies.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, probably. Maybe.
And well, this is probably Will. You picked this movie. This is like your least favorite movie of all time, right? That's why you picked this.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I hate this fucking film. I cannot stand this goddamn film. I hope it burns in hell. But no, really.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna make it seem like you hate this movie.
I love this film. I think it is like super funny, clever, heartfelt, really heartfelt at points, and its animation is also like kind of something I want to talk about because not rotoscoping, like mocap. Tabs said earlier in the episode that they when they were a kid, they didn't think they thought it was like uncanny, but like honestly, I feel like this is like the best looking of the Image Movers films because it's trying to be stylized and it's trying to be like not realistic.
How dare you disagree with me?
How dare? How dare?
How dare you have a different opinion?
Fucking podcast is
dare
over.
you.
End it. No.
Yeah, but I think we already sort of mentioned this.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the cinematography in this film is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
100%.
There's like a lot of really cool shots. There's like specifically a lot of like Amblin-esque influence on this. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
Sort of reminds me of like the Iron Giant, even though like this takes place in the 80s and that takes place in like the 60s or 50s.
It's somewhere around there.
It really does it has a lot of the same color palette, and also the majority of I think another reason is that like most of the Iron Giant takes place at fall, and this is also a fall film. So yeah, this movie is like can be like really funny at points, despite like it's it not really aging very well at some points and aspects. It's really heartfelt, especially centering on Nevercracker and Constance.
Yeah.
I feel like that's truly the heart of the film.
It's something too I wish that they had done more with, is their relationship and stuff like that, because you really only see like Constance like alive in the fucking like few moments you do, and those moments are fun, but still it's only like not even like a third of the film that she's in and stuff, which kind of sucks. So I wish they kind of delved a little bit more into their relationship and stuff, which again I hope they don't, but if they ever do like decide to reboot this movie, it would be cool to see that as well.
Yeah.
I don't have much else to say other than like good movie.
Yeah.
Shall we proceed to the outro? This has been Horrors for Horror. Our first 3 episodes have been about our favorite horror movies or horror inspired movies, and we hope that you enjoyed them.
Fuck you. Don't come back. I'm kidding.
Please don't tell us, because no. Please don't tell us, because we're very emotionally sensitive people.
Please, if you have any like very strongly worded emails you want to send it to horse for horror.
You're telling me you have to make an email now? I have to make a fucking email now?
We will not read them.
I gotta make an email now.
Fuck.
But
follow us on
we only have one Twitter account.
Our only social media so far, which is Twitter. We have one Twitter account, which is horrors and the number 4 horror. And follow us wherever podcasts are, because hopefully these will be up there.
Yeah. As of recording this episode, the first we're I'm aiming to get them up on YouTube, which is probably where you're watching this. But if you're most likely watching this, it's probably on the YouTube. But I'm gonna try to get out the rest as like we're gonna try to figure out some other places to get them.
Yeah.
For now, it's just gonna be on YouTube, but we will get the rest there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're listening to this on a different website, if you are.
Yeah, maybe you're listening to this.
Hi.
You're probably listening to. Maybe you're listening to this on the fucking on the Yeezy stem player.
Yeah.
And every time wondering like, damn, how did we get that brand deal? Shit.
I don't want to be affiliated with Kanye West. I don't
Not anymore. I don't want to be affiliated with Kanye West anymore. Like if you asked me like maybe like 5 years ago, I would have said yeah, but now I'm just like no.
Anyways,
Yeah.
at this point in time, we're not really sure what we're going to do for the next few episodes, but hopefully they'll be fun, and hopefully you'll be there to listen to them.
Yeah.
If you have anything, like any corrections or any fun facts about movies, definitely tweet us, again at Horrors for Horror, and let us know.
Or if you want us to break shit and just be like, and there's a movie that you want us to cover, let us know and we'll consider it.
We'll consider it.
Like anything you want to tell us. If you want to tell us, your most important. I think the most important thing that you should do, like when you tell us, is DM us your credit card information, your social security number, your phone number.
Give us your money.
Give us your
the
address.
The 3 silly numbers on the back of the credit card.
Yeah.
Give me your social security information. This outro has been going on for way too long.
Yeah, we gotta go.
But yeah, hope you guys all enjoy. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. 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 Puss!